Hey my fellow golf ball addicts, welcome back to the channel. I have today the Lazrus L3R. You all have been requesting this one like crazy. Let's dive right in. As always, if you love honest reviews from an average golfer, from an average swing standpoint, please subscribe, like, comment. We'd love to have you here. We have a membership that just starts at $1 a month. We really appreciate everyone who does that. This is all possible because of you guys. So it's pretty obvious why so many of you have been asking me to review this golf ball. Well, mainly because of the price point. $20 for a 3-piece urethane golf ball. It almost sounds unheard of, right? I mean, there's only a couple golf balls in the history that have gone that low, the Spalding SD Tour being one of them, which I also just tested. And really the thing is that it's one of those situations where it just feels too good to be true, right? Because we see golf balls like the Legato and like Wright and Ditson and, you know, Vice, when you buy them in bulk, get down to around $29.99 a dozen. And that kind of seems like the lowest you can really get. There's not too many golf balls that go lower than that. You still have the cut golf balls that are at 25, and even that kind of feels too good to be true sometimes, even though a couple of them are pretty good. But my point is that it just feels like something has to be wrong with this golf ball. How do you make a golf ball at that price and still have it be really good? I don't have any expectations of what a $20 3-piece urethane golf ball should cost. I just don't know, you know what I mean? So we're just gonna kind of go through this and take it with a grain of salt and see what we get. But the thing is that at that value, I mean, even if it's just a good golf ball, that's really good. A lot of people are really going to jump at a price like that because that's cheaper than a lot of 2-piece golf balls nowadays, like Callaway Super Soft or TaylorMade Speed Soft or any of those. So this is a phenomenally good value. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the design of this golf ball. Now, first of all, there is a variety of great colors this golf ball comes in. It comes in matte, it comes in, you know, your regular polyurethane on the outside. But yes, blue, red, green, a couple of really cool colors in there. So depending on what you like, I like that a lot. A lot of golfers really want different colors, especially for high visibility, and Lazrus does check that box. Now, I have the white one here. We're going to go ahead and look at that. Looking at the logo, it's actually a pretty cool logo, to be honest with you. I know Lazrus already has a logo, and I know that, you know, they make clubs and stuff. I don't really know anything about them, so if you know more, then you'll just have to excuse my ignorance for a minute. But it has that L above it, which is pretty cool. The number looks awesome. It definitely has a design that if someone saw this out there, they're probably not gonna, they're gonna think it's probably a cheap golf ball and just toss it in the woods because they're not gonna know, but it's still a good logo. I mean, as far as the logos I've seen some pretty bad ones, so that's not bad. Looking on the side there, I love the alignment tool. Now, I do wish it was just a little longer, but still, the fact that it's really thick, the fact that it's, you know, easy to see, it says L3R there, which is the model of the golf ball in the middle, has that nice little white for accent. That's really cool. And if I hold it up here, as you can see, easy to see. That's what we do. You know, show it on the camera. If it's easy to see, it's a really good, you know, alignment tool. If you have to kind of squint your eyes, no bueno. I want to see my alignment tool rolling when I putt. Now, as far as the dimple pattern and stuff, it does look cheap. What do you expect? It's $20 a dozen. It doesn't have a thick coating around it. This is pretty minimal. So I imagine durability is going to be okay or good. I don't think it's going to be perfect by any means, but we'll see when we get there. Overall, not a bad design, especially for their first golf ball. I don't know of another one they've made. If they have made one, again, excuse my ignorance, but I know this is a 2024 model, and it's not bad. So without further ado, let's get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see how it does around there. All right, Lazrus, 3-piece. Let's go, baby. Give me some checkup. Not bad. It had a little bit of a firmer release than I would have liked, but that's kind of to be expected. It's only $20 for a dozen, so I mean, I didn't expect a ton. Really good rotation on the ball, though. It wasn't as loud of a click as I thought it would be. Based on bouncing the ball and the click it had, I thought it would be a little clickier. It's only like a medium click. It actually has a pretty decent feel when it's right in the center, so let me hit a couple more. Low spinner. Not bad. Again, yeah, I'd say like spin-wise, we're at the 50% mark right now. Okay, gonna try to get this one to go left. A little bit of left spin, but I mean, really not much to be had. I'm going to open the face just a tad. Ooh, okay, pretty good. Again, had a firmer release than I would have liked, but that one, I can't hit a chip any better than that. I mean, it had rotation, you could see. I would say like 55%. It's just over that 50% mark, but I wouldn't call it much more than that. What are my expectations for a 3-piece urethane golf ball from Lazrus? I don't have any, so let's see what this thing does. Let's try this bad boy out using, of course, the mallet putter, thick, heavy. Let's try that first, then we'll go to blade. Very soft, very squishy, nice. A lot of these golf balls are doing that now. They're just really feeling good. Little tiny click for feedback there. Doesn't take a lot to get there, no chug effect. Really good. That is a benefit of firmer golf balls. Now, I'm not a big firmer golf ball guy, but a benefit is off the putter. They're a little bit more consistent a lot of the time because they're not compressing and then shooting off kind of. And I like that a lot. And so testing these is kind of a breath of fresh air. Be good. Be good, baby. That was nice. Again, really consistent roll, really softness. Now, it wasn't buttery. It had a little soft crispy for feedback. I like that, but it wasn't super buttery in the hands. It was pretty dead for the most part. I didn't feel any feedback. So for the most part, that was really good. I'm gonna grab the blade putter. Let's see how it does there, but so far so good. Now granted, I will admit, it could also be a little bit because the golf balls are getting cold. I tried to keep them warm. I warmed them up beforehand, but the reality is, toward the end of season, sometimes even in Florida, you have some of these 40-degree mornings or 45-degree mornings, and it could be starting to affect the golf ball a little bit, but that sun is hitting us, so could be that, but still really good there so far. Oh, that's just beautiful. Now there's the butteriness I was talking about that it didn't have. Now that we have a more bladed club and there's a lot more feedback in it, now I'm feeling that buttery and crispiness, so it's both. So this is actually a golf ball that works better with a blade putter than it does a mallet, just so you guys know. Wow, coming off a little left. Love the feel, let me know feedback, but it wasn't obnoxious. Oh, it's just not gonna hit the breaking point. Oh, what a shame. Still really good. Yeah, I mean, 9 out of 10 for sure. Love it. It's definitely more of a bladed type putter is what you'll need if you want 100%. But if you have a mallet, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's still really, really good. It just has zero feedback. So, I mean, it doesn't have like really any feeling in the hand. So if that's going to bother you, it'll be a deal breaker. But let's see how the performance metrics are. Okay, so as far as the feel with the golf ball, it is definitely on the firmer side. That's for sure. It definitely has a traditional style of feel. If you hit it pure, it's around a 3 out of 5. If you mishit it, it's around a 2 out of 5. Forgiveness, I definitely would say is probably a 2 out of 5 as well. It's not that forgiving of a golf ball. It feels traditional. If you like that soft or that bouncy ball effect, if you like it to really shoot like a rocket off the club and get that feeling where you're like, ooh, yeah. Not a lot of that here. This is more like a, it's almost like a drill sergeant when you do something really good. He doesn't tell you you did something good because he's like, that's what you're supposed to do, Private. That's your job. That's what this feels like. It feels like you hit it pure, and instead of the golf ball being like, hey, nice one, buddy, it's just like, that's how it's supposed to be. And you're like, yes, sir. So I don't know. Not my cup of tea. Not exactly how I'd want a golf ball to feel, but for the most part, I wish there was a little more forgiveness. Now, does that mean that it's not going to be for my swing speed? I don't know. Let's dive in. Let's find out. Let's start with the 50-yard pitch, RPM backspin. Looking here, we have 7,774, which is freaking awesome. I love to see that. I did not expect that with such a cheap golf ball, but it spins a ton actually. That's 500 RPM above my average. So yeah, that's gonna hit. That's gonna come back at you a little bit. And again, would I expect that out of tour balls? Yeah, if this was a tour ball, I'd be like, yep, that's exactly average what I would expect. But for a, three-piece, $20 a dozen, I mean, that's really, really good. So let's go ahead and get into the 9-iron now. A 1.30 smash factor, which slightly below average. 140 on your distance, which is right in line with average. 140.3, right in line with average. 106.5, slightly above average, actually. But again, look at that spin. 7,176. That golf ball is going to rip back to you, which is a really good sign, especially for a golf ball like this. So it wants to launch low as well, and that doesn't surprise me. Being firmer, being clickier, yeah, they usually, any type of tour ball or golf ball designed to be like a tour ball, launches lower. That's been my finding. And, but you know what? I don't mind it. I mean, if you're getting a low launch and you're telling me I'm going to get average, distance, but I'm going to get some rip back, I mean, I don't know what you could ask for. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. Really good performance. Let's dive into the 7-iron now. Keep it going. 1.39 on your smash factor. That's average. 162.9. That's just slightly below average, but pretty close. 164.8, below average. 116.5, that is a little below average. 5,647, just slightly above average on spin, so it's still spinning really good, and it wanted to launch low again. Now, these numbers, the reason they are appearing a little bit lower, again, is not because of the golf ball not being able just to get the juice to go. It's because of that forgiveness. What happens is I hit 15 shots, I take away the 5 worst, but you still have 10 shots that are sporadic. Some of them might go 171 or 165. The other ones might go 150, but just because they were slightly mishit, and that's where that forgiveness comes into play. 2 out of 5 forgiveness here. So there was some disparity there, slight mishits. Occasionally I would blade it just a little bit. I lost a lot. I felt it in the hands. And because of that, the numbers were just okay. But make no mistake, if you are a really good ball striker, the golf ball does do really well. It's above average. It's not going to break records. It's not going to, eye pop you like Bugs Bunny. But it is going to be like, hey, it holds up, it holds its own, which for $20 a dozen, that's all I'm expecting. Getting into the 5 hybrid now, we have a 1.43 smash factor, which is above average. 193.5, that's 8 yards above my average, awesome. 199.6, which is 9 yards above my average. 130.5, zoom, baby. Anything over 130 is phenomenal. I love to see it, but now that's abnormal and I don't like it. 4,027 on your spin, that is abysmally low, and a 13.1 launch angle, which again, it wants to launch low. It doesn't surprise me. So this is an issue that I do run into golf balls with sometimes, is once you get to a hybrid, sometimes the golf balls just react a little differently. Sometimes golf balls are tested with irons so much that then they just don't get the love from woods, because a lot of golf ball companies, and I'm not speaking for Lazrus here, I'm just speaking for a lot of other golf ball companies, is they look at it and go, okay, this golf ball is for an advanced player, it's a 3-piece, they're not going to be using a hybrid. So they don't even really test hybrid, they don't worry about the hybrid, and that shows in the testing sometimes. They're expecting someone to hit a long iron, and completely different results. When you hit a 5 iron that's, a 22, 23 loft compared to a hybrid, one's going to get up in the air a lot easier. One's more bendable. It is what it is. And so unfortunately, this golf ball, I just don't think got the love in testing with hybrids, which is fine, but that's why the spin was so low. And unfortunately, getting high spin, and now getting low is inconsistent. I don't like it, but I do have to give it some respect with that ball speed. So if you're someone who swings fast and you want ball speed, the Lazrus brings it. It brings the heat for sure.
All right, getting into the driver, we have a 1.45 smash factor, which is above average, 235.9, which is awesome. That's like 9 yards above my average, 244.7, which again, that's about 8 more than my average, 7 more. 145.6, it's launching really fast off the club. Love to see that. And then look at that spin. Now we've actually gone into low spin, which is where I want the low spin to be. So as you can see from that 5 hybrid, it went lower. Now the driver's lower. So with woods, it's just going to have lower spin, which that's perfectly okay. And it launched actually a little high with the driver, which I love. So
really, really good numbers there. Really jumped off the club. And keep in mind, that's still with low forgiveness. So yes, those numbers were really, really good, but on miss hits, I still lost some yards. I lost 10, 15 yards on drive hits sometimes just because of slight off hits. So that means that even if I had a good day with the driver, that means the ones I was hitting really well was really getting up there, probably 148, 149 in ball speed. So I would say that if you're someone who swings fast and is looking for good ball speed, the Lazarus is doing a really good job so far across pretty much all clubs when it comes to that regard. Now let's dive into durability real quick, and then I'll give you my closing thoughts. Durability for the most part is pretty good. It's a little banged up here and there. I mean, it's actually, when you look at it, you can see some scuffs, you can see some cuts, but when you actually feel the golf ball and you really get down in there and you're kind of making sure there's nothing that would affect putting, I don't feel too much. So I would call it like a 7.5 out of 10. We don't do halves, so it goes up to an 8 and it gets that 8 spot. So that's really good. 8 out of 10 is not bad. Again, when I had a $20 a dozen golf ball, I was expecting it to be straight up dookie, but it actually held really well and it actually earned a pretty good spot. So I love to see that. So, all right, so final thoughts. Is it perfect? No, it's got some issues, but here's the thing. It tests really well on the driver. It has a ton of distance for being, a drivable ball if you want a few extra yards. It has really good 9-iron performance. It backspins like crazy, especially on those short wedges and short irons. You know, there is some inconsistencies once you get to mid-iron, long iron, hybrid, things like that, and that's just because once you get to those clubs, you have to be a really, really good golfer in order to hit this. I mean, you have to be a really good ball striker, and if you're not, it's gonna show. It really is. It's gonna show. You're gonna lose a little distance. There was some, you know, inconsistencies with the spin, but for the most part, if you're someone who fits the category of this golf ball, I don't see how you could go wrong. $20 for a dozen of it, trying it out. Even if you think you're close, it's definitely worth a shot. I mean, worst case scenario, you're at 20 bucks. Who cares? You know what I mean? In the realm of golf balls, $20 is nothing, especially, I mean, most people who are paying $20 are buying a two-piece, you know, Surlin, you know, distance golf ball. So if you're someone who is this golf ball for exactly? One, I think you need to at least be swinging 100 mile an hour. Could you possibly try it at 95 mile an hour with a driver? You could, but if you're 95 mile an hour, I expect you to be a really good ball striker, because I promise you, if you mishit this golf ball, it'll punish you. It just will. So with that being the case, if you're still someone who's shooting high 80s, mid-high 80s, you know, low 90s, I'd probably stay away, just because it's going to cost you strokes. You're going to mishit it a couple times. It's going to be really short. Then you got to pitch into the green. You're better off with a two-piece golf ball still, even though I know the value is there. Keep in mind that some of you, and I can tell by the comments, some of you are so obsessed with getting a urethane golf ball for just dirt cheap that you got to remember that sometimes a really well-made, good material two-piece golf ball is better than a cheap urethane golf ball. And I don't mean that as a crack and saying like, oh, this is just not worth it. I'm saying that to say there are a lot of two-piece golf balls out there that spin really well now. There's a lot of two-piece golf balls out there that get great distance and they forgive you on mishits and they go straight. And sometimes it's better to just have one of those that's made really well. The one that first comes to my mind is the Seed SD15. I just tested it. Definitely check that out. But that's going to be better for a lot of you than this is. Now, if you do fall into that category where you're like, no, Nick, I shoot high 70s, I shoot low 80s, I'm a really good ball striker, I need something with spin, but I just don't have a lot of money. I don't want to spend 50, 60 bucks anymore. I just don't, you know, that's too much money. I understand. It's definitely worth a shot in that regard. It definitely is. So I was very impressed for being the price it is. I think this is an amazing start. There's plenty to build on here. I think Lazrus here in a year or two could release another golf ball and then make improvements on this. I would soften it up a little. I really would. Or make a secondary model and soften it up, because if you soften this up and I start getting really good numbers with it, and I mean, I'm talking really good numbers, and it's softer and it has more forgiveness, you're looking at something that could be a top 10 golf ball. But the way it sits right now, it's just a very good golf ball, which there's nothing wrong with that. As always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time, see you soon.